A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for finding time to be with me this afternoon. The show is Diaspora Dispatches. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and here is the latest news from across the continent of Africa. We start our bulletin this afternoon from Tunisia, and the leader of Tunisia's Islamist-inspired opposition party, El Ada, was questioned, then allowed to go free by an anti-terror unit just days before a controversial constitutional referendum. After a more than 9-hour session and 19 defense speeches requested by lawyers, Rachid Ghanouchi left. The anti-terror had feared he would be arrested after being questioned. And then we head over to South Africa, and the toxic chemical methanol has been identified as a possible cause of the deaths of 21 teenagers at a bar in South Africa's city of East London last month. Methanol was found in all their bodies, and investigations are continuing to determine whether the levels of toxic chemical were enough to have killed them. Authorities are still awaiting the conclusive results, which are being conducted at a laboratory in the city of Cape Town. He said methanol is a toxic form of alcohol that is used industrially as a solvent, pesticide, or an alternative source of fuel. It is not used in the production of alcohol sold for human consumption. It is yet not known how the youngsters ingested the methanol. Alcohol poisoning and inhalation of carbon monoxide have both been ruled out as possible causes of death, although traces of both were detected in the bodies of the 21 victims. And then we head to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and a former close ally of DRC President Jean-Marc Kabon has unveiled his own party in the name of Alliance for Change. This group defines itself as a left-wing party that has declared itself independent from the current ruling UDPS. Kabon was the former Secretary General and also interim president of the UDPS before being ruthlessly ejected by his fellow members. Jean-Marc Kabon fell apart with President Felix Antoine Tshisekedi, whom he has described as a danger as a head of state. While unveiling his party, Kabon said his objective is to conquer power in the vast DRC. He also intends to have massive reforms toward an all-inclusive dialogue, the foundation of the state, and also realign the government to the current modern state. We head over to Algeria and Italy sealed approximately 15 major deals during a business summit between two countries in Algiers. A new contract of gas supply worth $4 billion was concluded. It aims to make the North African country the Southern European country's biggest gas supplier instead of Russia. Agreements in areas such as sustainable development, micro-enterprises and justice were also signed by the partners, all facilitated by a new law implemented by the Algerian government on foreign investment. Since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, Rome has increasingly turned to Algeria to reduce its dependence from Russia. Algeria is Africa's biggest gas exporter and provides around 11% of the natural gas consumed in Europe. Head over to Togo, and the Togolese Foreign Minister Robert Dussey met Ivorian officials in Abidjan on Tuesday for talks on 41 Ivorian soldiers who were arrested in Mali earlier this month. The soldiers were arrested on arrival in Bamako on suspicion of being mercenaries. Ivory Coast insists the troops were there to support the UN mission known as MINUSMA under an agreed contract between the two countries, but the junta in Mali says its foreign ministry was not informed of the deployment via the official channels. On Tuesday, Mr. Dussey indicated that the Ivorian president and the Malian junta leaders wanted to preserve peace between their nations, according to a statement. President Alassane Ouattara expressed his gratitude to the minister for the initiative to find a resolution to the matter. The statement added, Ivory Coast has been calling for the immediate release of its soldiers. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has given the country's education and labor ministries 2 weeks to end the prolonged lecturer strike. The country's academic staff union of universities asked its members to skip work on 14th February and have not returned since then. They are protesting against the government's failure to implement a 2009 deal that will see lecturers get better pay and improve facilities in institutions of higher learning. The union insists that their actions are in the best interest of the students who have to stay in school longer due to the disruption in the school calendar. Union officials and the government have been holding talks to find solutions to end the industrial action, but they have not been successful so far. And the breakaway region of Somaliland has announced a ban on broadcast by the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC. Somaliland Information Minister Saliban Yusuf Ali Kore told reporters on Tuesday that BBC broadcasts have reduced the identity and dignity of the self-declared independent nation not recognized by Somalia or any other country. The minister, speaking in the Somaliland capital of Hargeisa, said that after long discussions, authority decided to ban the BBC on the grounds that the network has lost its neutrality and is acting against the independence of Somaliland. He said the ban would go into effect immediately. Kore said the BBC fails to recognize that Somaliland is a democratic country that has stood on its feet for the last 31 years, while multiple presidential and parliamentary elections. With multiple presidential and parliamentary elections, Somaliland is a former British protectorate and breakaway region of the northern Somalia that declared independence in 1991 after Somalia descended into a civil war. And then we go back to South Africa, and President Ramaphosa and in the corruption watchdog, South Africa's corruption watchdog, has said it will invoke subpoena powers to get answers from President Cyril Ramaphosa over the alleged concealment of a theft at his luxurious farmhouse. On Tuesday, the Public Prosecutor's Office said a deadline for Ramaphosa to answer questions related to the break-in expired on Monday after it denied a request for an extension. In June, the watchdog opened a probe over potential breaches of the Executive Ethics Code after Ramaphosa was accused of bribing burglars to keep quiet after February 2020 heist at his game farmhouse, where it is alleged $44 million in cash was stolen. The case, which has piled pressure on the president amid heightened tensions within governing African National Congress Party, stems from a police report filed by former national spy boss Arthur Fraser last month. In June, he was heckled in Parliament by opposition legislators. Fraser alleged that robbers broke into Ramaphosa's Pala farm in the northeast of the country, where they found the cash hidden in furniture. And then we end our bulletin this afternoon from South Sudan, and the Continental Financial and Development Institution, the African Development Bank, has approved a grant of $8.1 million to South Sudan to fund its emergency food program. In a statement earlier this week, the bank said the grant accounts for additional financing to the ongoing agricultural markets, value addition and trade development projects. The implementation agencies of the grant say they are seeking to contribute to reduce food insecurity, poverty reduction, economic growth, and building of community and household resilience and social cohesion. According to reports, South Sudan's economy had recorded a strong growth after signing of the revitalized agreement, with a real GDP growth estimated at 9.3% in the year 2019-2020. The economy, however, registered a contraction of minus 3.4% in 2021, a situation that resulted from the decline in oil income after the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic. The ADB said the emergency food production program targets hundreds of thousands of households who have lost their crops and livestock to years of flooding in the 5 states of Northern Bahr el Ghazal, Upper Nile, Western Bahr el Ghazal, Eastern Equatoria and Western Equatoria. And that is the latest news from and within the continent of Africa. And I think that grant by the African Development Bank will go a long way in assisting and supplementing for the aid that is required. Of course, this will go into food production and value addition and things like that. And you know, South Sudan, especially harvest, have been affected so much. There have been incidences of flooding that has really damaged a lot of crops. So it is projected that even as the country is still going through some level of famine right now, with a poor harvest occasioned by the flooding, the situation might not be very, very good. And so this will go to cushion the people of us South Sudan, who of course need this money. And it is in a tune of 8.1 million US dollars. So that has been put towards South Sudan's emergency food production program. And it will help in agricultural markets and then value addition and trade development projects. So hopefully it will be utilized well. And it is interesting from this report that the GDP of South Sudan was said to have grown between 2019 and 2020 at 9.3%. And that is because of the revitalized peace agreement that was signed in February 2019 that I think brought some sense of hope and some sense of stability and some sense of South Sudan is back on the right track as far as peace and stability is concerned. But that was short-lived, as we see now in 2021. The economy dipped to a negative 3.4%. And I think also COVID-19 has really contributed to that economy, to the diving of the economies. But also after the signing of the revitalized peace agreement in February 2019, nothing much has happened since then. A couple of very important aspects of the peace deal have not been implemented. And so I think with the signing, there was some hope, a lot of hope, if the economy and the growth of it is something to go by. 9.3%, that was the growth. And for South Sudan, I think that is a lot. And then a year later or 2 years later, and then you see the figures, negative 3.4%. So you see, peace is very vital as far as even the economy of a country is concerned. So that hopefully they will get their act together. I think at this point, talking about South Sudan and the revitalized peace agreement, it could be a broken record, but I think these are still very important things that we have to continue reminding our viewers and talking about. So anyway, Somaliland has banned the BBC from covering, from doing its covering from the breakaway state, and they're saying that BBC does not recognize them, does not recognize the country as a country. So Somaliland has been wanting to be recognized as an independent country. Remember, after the war broke out in Somalia, Somaliland went ahead in 1991 and declared itself. It declared itself a state. And so according to Somalia, the Greater Somalia, proper procedures were not carried out. And I think Somaliland has been asking for a referendum, if I'm not wrong, to be allowed for the people in Somaliland to decide whether they still want to stay in Somalia or not. And I think that has not been guaranteed by the subsequent leadership that we've seen in Somalia. And so the Somaliland Information Minister, Selaban Yusuf Ali Kore, told reporters yesterday that BBC broadcasts have reduced the identity and the dignity of the self-declared independent nation, to something else. And they're saying how they're covering the issues around Somaliland. They only recognize Somalia. The BBC only recognize Somalia. Well, according to the map of the world, and according to the countries that we count around Africa, I was never taught that Somaliland is one of the countries here. So maybe that is the fact on the ground, and according to the countries that are registered with the United Nations, I don't think Somaliland is a country you'll find in that list. And we know Somalia. And of course, Somalia has several other states that also want to break out. We've seen the war that has continued between the TPLF. We've seen the war that has continued. We see a state like Jubaland also, trying to protect its autonomy. But they're still part of Somalia, and that is the truth. That is what is on paper. So until that changes, or until they go through the channels of having a referendum and for them to be recognized, the same way South Sudan had a referendum to leave, Sudan, then that is why today we sit here and talk about South Sudan, because it went through the proper, steps for it to be recognized. as a country, and it is the youngest country in Africa. So Somaliland, and I know it has been calling for a referendum, and as I said, the subsequent governments have not really been willing to allow that to happen. But until that has been done, I think legally, and in a proper way, according to what proper means to both Somalia and Somaliland, then I don't know what to call Somaliland at this point. So if a journalist from the BBC, have been barred from covering news in Somaliland, and because according to them, they want, while the BBC or any other reporter is covering news from Somaliland, they require for them to speak of Somaliland as if it is a country, as if it is an independent country. And while we do appreciate, we do appreciate that Somaliland compared to Somalia, those are two totally different areas. And if I may even use the word country here loosely, well, Somalia is a country, all right? Because Somaliland has peace, has tranquility, has a lot of progress. And I was just watching some news piece in our local media the other day, and they do have schools there that have been started even by our Kenyan proprietors, and we do have our Kenyan teachers there. And it's really quite a contrast when you compare it to Somalia. And so it's different. So I would understand why they're saying, hey, as much as we might be sharing the name, but we're not really Somalia, so we would like to be respected and be addressed as a country. But that has not yet happened. They're still calling and asking for a referendum. So until that happens, I don't know what we are supposed to call Somaliland. We've been calling it Somaliland. Its capital city is Hargeisa, and that's how we know it. And after long discussions with the Ministry of Information and the authorities, they decided to ban the BBC on the grounds that the network has lost its neutrality and is acting against the independence of Somaliland. I think it's a very tricky situation for there, and they're saying Somaliland is a democratic country that has stood on its feet for the last 31 years, and it has gone through multiple presidential and parliamentary elections successfully, and we've seen that. Everything that the authorities in Somaliland are saying is true. But also, get a referendum. Leave Somalia officially, so that, and I know you've been asking for that, but that has not happened because I think of the legalities that comes with that and the lack of willingness maybe from the other side. But that is the only way we can speak about you, with confidence as being a country. But of course, you are a totally different entity compared to Somalia, all right? But okay. So the story of former president, not former president, but the current president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, it has refused to go away, and he's being subpoenaed now. They need him to go and be a witness or record a statement or something like that. Cyril Ramaphosa, because there's some money that some burglars had broken into his private farm. It's a private farmhouse. It's called Pala Pala. In the northwest of the country. And when the burglars broke in there, they were able to steal around $4 million that were kept and hidden inside furnitures, I guess. And then they were able to be tracked. But after being tracked, they were given some hush money, told, you've stolen, but we're not going to record a statement with the police. And we're not going to report this theft, but we're going to keep your mouth shut. I don't know how much they were given, but we will recover our money and then we'll give you a percentage of that. I guess that's how that conversation went. So these burglars, being who they are, I guess they said something to somebody, and then maybe they told that person, hey, and don't say it. And by the way, that farm is for the president. Of course, that will elicit some rumor, which will go until it found its way to another person. I think it was a journalist or somebody, but somebody who was able to bring that information to the public. And then now the amount of money is what stunned everybody. And this happened in June last year. The amount of money, the money was found in 2020. $4 million US. How do you keep that? In furnitures, under furnitures, inside furnitures, beside, how do you keep that in a house? That is my question. How do you keep that? If this money was not ill-gotten, if this money is clean, Mr. Ramaphosa, you are a very wealthy man. Your sister is married to the wealthiest man in South Africa. Your families have money. So if you took this money to the bank, nobody will be surprised because you are wealthy anyway. So why would you, in your wisdom, $4 million US, keep it in furnitures in a farm? Where did you get this money from? I think this is what the authorities and the investigating bodies want to really find out. Why was this money not just even kept in a safe, but hidden inside furnitures or beside the furnitures? Or I don't know, but it was hidden in the furnitures. I don't know whether it was under or they cut the furnitures and stacked the money. I don't know how that happened. But why would you go to the lengths of that, to those lengths, to hide that money if that money was not ill-gotten? So I think it is his word against the thieves. It is his words, because he did not even report that his money was stolen. He did not say something. All right, so he has to explain why he's keeping this huge amount of money. Otherwise, this could very well be some money laundering stuff. I don't know. This is just allegations. But why would he keep? He has a bank account that already has a lot of money, or several bank accounts, the wife as well. You could just keep your money over there. But no, you decide to keep it not even inside a safe in the house. You're keeping it in a farm and in furnitures, under furnitures, beside the furnitures, I don't know, in the furnitures, I guess. And so now he has some questions to answer, and I think I'll be following this to just hear how this story will end up. I'm surprised to learn today that universities in Nigeria have been the lecturers there have not, and professors have not been teaching since February, and that is because they've been on strike. And it's just right now in July that President Muhammadu Buhari is asking the country's education and labor ministries. He's given them 2 weeks to end the prolonged lecturer strike from February to now, and then this is when you're giving a notice, a 2 weeks notice for them to sort out this mess. Okay, all right. So I guess that's what we had for you this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much. My name is Miriam Ogotu. This has been Diaspora Dispatches. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.